Shall we, from Ben Stein and Greg Heimwitz, Lee Gallagher and Ben Ferguson, along with my friend Jack Welch, the former GE CEO and author of a bunch of business bestsellers, including his latest, Winning the Answers. Now, to bring you up to speed here, Democratic presidential candidate John Edwards says that Americans are selfish and Jesus would not approve.
Jesus would be disappointed in our ignoring the plight of those around us who are suffering, and our focus on our own selfish, short-term needs. I think he would be appalled, actually.
Well, Edwards wants to raise taxes on the rich to provide health care for the poor. Would Jesus do the same? Jack, what do you think?
Well, I think Jesus is too smart to raise taxes. I think that on the other hand, Jesus would expect us to be a generous people. And in fact, we are the most generous people, from Bill Gates and Warren Buffett all the way down. This country has a great spirit of giving.
Ben Stein?
Well, Jesus disliked rich people very much. He really disliked tax collectors, who were called publicans in those days. Not republicans, but publicans. But he did say, render unto Caesar that which is Caesar's. I would like to respectfully suggest we don't need to bring Jesus into this at all. And the idea of a trial lawyer bringing Jesus into it is really funny. Just as a basis of arithmetic, we need to raise taxes, but I don't think Jesus is really a source we need to consult.
I just want to wonder what Jesus would have thought of trial lawyers. That's a separate show. But Lee,
yes,
what do you think?
You're not kidding.
Well, I agree. I mean, Jesus was born in a stable. He identified with the poor. He believed, though, most importantly, in impartiality. And I think that for that reason, I think he would really want to level the gap between the haves and the have-nots that we have now. And I think that, you know, impartiality, again, making everyone pay their fair share.
Right on.
Look, what I think is John Edwards never said that. What John Edwards said, if you listen to the interview, and he was talking about not raising taxes, what he was referring to actually is nationwide health insurance.
Well,
look,
he's
the
advocated
but Neil,
taxes.
but they're two totally different issues. His comments related to Jesus were about the 47 million people in this country that don't have any health insurance, and the way to pay for some kind of national health insurance, and a lot of that happens to come through tax credits that he's also proposing. You know, Jesus did say, whatever you do to the least of my brethren, you do to me. And it's that kind of community that John Edwards is talking about there. He wasn't talking about increasing taxes.
All right. Well, by the way, I've interviewed him, and he has talked about raising taxes on the
But I'm saying the comments weren't related.
Okay. Jack Welch, here's what I want to get straight. Invariably, candidates bring Jesus into this race. I don't know why, but they do. Is that a wise idea?
Well,
No.
I don't think so. I don't think so at all. I think that this is what we're looking for in a presidential candidate is personal leadership, somebody to take charge and competence. And I think that's going to be the measure of who we pick for the next election.
Ben Stein, we get back to this issue, and I think Edwards is a very smart guy. I think he calculated, much as he did over this debate fuss, that if you go ahead and align yourself with the extreme left that might look at this really in terms that others of us might miss, that hits a chord. The haves, the have-nots. There are a lot of have-nots. That's who he's reaching out to. There are a lot of Democrats who feel disaffected, if not stomped on. He's reaching out to them. There's a method to this. What do you think?
Well, I mean, people will try to use religion to sell anything. People will try to use religion to sell vacuum cleaners. I saw in the Wall Street Journal yesterday that actually Mr. Edwards is a huge recipient of donations from Wall Street. That does not quite square with his idea of trying to level the playing field. Wall Street is not exactly all about leveling the playing field. I don't know. I really do not like the idea of bringing religious figures into debates about fiscal policy. It just makes me a little bit uneasy.
I actually disagree with Ben. I mean, Ben brings up a very good point. John Edwards is has a lot of support on Wall Street, a lot of support from Wall Street community, from hedge fund communities. And you're right. The reason why he was able to do that, because a lot of folks on Wall Street agree that things have gone somewhat out of whack. And that, you know, it is time to make things, there needs to be more equality.
Or maybe there are a lot
of
lawyers on Wall Street.
No, but that's a whole separate group of donors,
right.
the plaintiffs' bar. But we're actually talking about a lot of folks on Wall Street who support John Edwards because they believe that things are too disparate.
But Ben Stein's a financier and a lawyer.
Isn't that wildly hypocritical?
Right?
I mean, Greg, please. I mean, I have as much respect for those people as you do, and you are one of them. But I mean, those people are siphoning money out of the system as fast as they can. If they want to give back, they can give back through charities. They don't have to give back through the tax system.
And Ben, as Jack says, they do give back through charity, but they also recognize that the tax system has potentially gotten a little bit out of whack.
All right, I do want to bring Ben Ferguson into this. Ben, you've heard back and forth on this whole notion of Jesus now entering the race, not to run himself, but to reflect on how he would reflect on it. What do you make of that?
Well, I think anytime you have a candidate that comes out and tries to use, talk about God and Jesus, it connects with most Americans. That's the reason why you see all these candidates that go to churches early. But I mean, for this guy who's an ambulance chaser, who's taken tons of money from poor people already to build his multi-million-dollar house, it's a little bit hypocritical for a guy to come out and talk about the poor when he's basically made a career off the poor and taking a lot of
That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. He's helped the poor. He's helped the people who've been injured. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? He's defended the poor people. He's helped poor people.
Let me bring Jack Welch in. What were you going to say, Jack?
Well, I was going to say, Greg, stop that. That's not what the plaintiff's bar does. They find a case and grab a third off the top.
Jack, do you think people who are injured deserve to be represented?
Yes, I do.
Okay, that's what he's done. So what's wrong with that?
Greg.
So do you think getting hundreds of millions of dollars doing that over a career is something that Jesus would look at and say, nice job?
Neil, listen, he's represented many